I'm going to be right there in front of him like I always do. You know, I'm going to make him miss and make him pay, and I'm going to fight my fight. So I feel like that was...
It's a different type. Like, you can be riding that wave. You can get all these knockouts of all these other different guys, but you've never been in the ring with an animal like Crawford. And when you get in there for the first time and you get hit upside your head and you see that you can't do the stuff that you usually do against the guys that you fought, you know, at the lower level, bro.
Joe Rogan couldn't hide his shock when news broke that Terence Crawford would be taking on Jaron "Boots" Ennis. He genuinely didn't see it coming, especially since both fighters had recently dismissed the idea of ever facing each other. Rogan said, "With the styles those two bring into the ring, that matchup would be something special." After Jaron Ennis dominated Wisma Lima, fans everywhere were asking the same question: who's next? At first, it looked like Virgil Ortiz Jr. might be that opponent after calling out Ennis following his own first-round knockout over Lima, setting up what many thought was the perfect clash. But things took an unexpected turn. Despite earlier denials, Terence "Bud" Crawford has now stepped up, declaring he's ready to face Ennis, instantly shifting the boxing world's spotlight onto what could be one of the most electrifying matchups in the sport.
Always going to root for Boots. Boots is from Philly. Terence Crawford is a specialist. Boots is a specialist. It'll be a great fight. Terence is my guy, man. I love it.
Before diving into Joe Rogan's reaction to this massive fight announcement, let's take a look at what other big names in boxing have had to say. First up, Jermall Charlo, who's been eyeing a matchup with Terence Crawford ever since wrapping up business with Canelo, didn't hold back his frustration after hearing about Crawford possibly facing Jaron "Boots" Ennis instead. Charlo made it clear that he should be next in line. He argued that, given everything he's accomplished in the sport, he's earned the right to share the ring with elite opponents to cement his legacy even further. In Charlo's words, Crawford should be fighting him, not Boots Ennis.
Smoke. I want smoke with Crawford. I want all the smoke. Give me the best shit. I'm in shape. I train. My lifestyle is on the move. Everything is great. So why the I want the best, man? What y'all talking about, dog? I don't got time to be playing with none of these people with these promotionals and all of these shits. I'm with the old school boxing. I'm following all of the Muhammad Ali act and all that shit. I mean, man, whatever. Y'all want to change it?
Andre Rozier shared his prediction for what might happen when Terence Crawford steps into the ring with Jaron Ennis, and he didn't hesitate for a second to back Crawford as the favorite. Rozier praised Crawford as one of the greatest fighters of this era, explaining that while Ennis is an incredible talent in his own right, he's still a step or two away from reaching Crawford's level of mastery. He emphasized that Crawford's all-around skill set operates on a completely different tier and pointed out that what Crawford did to Canelo speaks volumes about the kind of competitor he becomes once the bell rings.
I think it's attention, but Terence is on another level right now. I mean, he's on another level.
When you say another level, do you mean like marketability-wise, name-wise, or you mean talent-wise?
All the above. All the above.
So he's a notch or two above Jaron either.
Exactly. Boots has to get there. He's not there yet. A lot of people don't know who Boots is yet, believe it or not. So the boxing people might, but to be that stellar star, and that's why I'm upset about how his movement has been going, because he could have been stellar already. He's talented enough to do.
Tim Bradley, on the other hand, wasn't exactly thrilled about the idea of this matchup. In his view, stepping in against Terence Crawford is a massive risk, because Bud is the kind of fighter who can end a bout with a single, perfectly timed shot. While Bradley acknowledged that Jaron "Boots" Ennis is an outstanding talent with a bright future, he argued that Ennis should first take on fighters closer to his current experience level before jumping into a showdown of this magnitude. Bradley summed it up by saying that once Boots gets more rounds in against elite competition, then it would make sense for him to face a powerhouse like Crawford.
This type of fight with Crawford, you know what I'm saying? I would hate for him to get in this fight and look average. Because if you go back and you watch a lot of, and he's a spectacular fighter. Boots is a spectacular fighter. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Boots. I think he's next. But he needs to be tested. He needs to be tested with he needs to be tested with a guy like Thurman.
Another key voice, Danny Garcia, reacted to the fight announcement with a big smile and genuine excitement. He said this matchup perfectly captures the clash between a young, hungry lion and a seasoned legend, the ultimate mix of youth and experience. Garcia emphasized that both fighters are exceptional in their own ways, and the outcome of this bout will reveal who truly stands above the rest. To make things fair, he also suggested that the fight should take place at a weight class that suits both sides. Overall, Danny fully supported the idea, calling it a fight that boxing needs to move forward.
That'd be a great fight. You know, the young, hungry lion versus the legend. That would be a hell of a fight. Maybe 160. If it's a vacant title at 160, I think that they can make that happen for sure. I think it just has to make sense for both parties. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think if there's a vacant belt, Crawford's gonna want to be 6th division champion, and then he'll make Ennis move up to 160. I think they could do it at 160.
Responding to Tim Bradley's comments, Greg Hackett offered a different perspective. He explained that every generation in boxing eventually belongs to a fighter who rises above the rest, the dominant force of that era. Looking back at Crawford's journey, Hackett pointed out that the past couple of years have defined who Bud truly is, earning him more respect than in all his earlier accomplishments combined. But as Hackett noted, every great eventually gets their moment, and this could very well be the beginning of Boots Ennis's time to shine. In his view, Ennis has earned the opportunity to test himself against the best, and it wouldn't make sense to say he doesn't deserve a shot at Crawford.
Did Tim Bradley talk like that? Because they know he that. But shit just got started. Think about it. How long was the Bud Crawford era if Bud Crawford didn't start getting respect till 2023 for what he do? So if it's 2025 and we already talking about Boots Ennis, who's 10 years younger, who could possibly turn up this next 10 and make it crazy, that means the average person who don't really understand boxing, never really watch boxing, pay attention to boxing, and not really a boxing fan, they're not going to remember Bud Crawford.
Most importantly, when Terence Crawford spoke about his upcoming clash with Boots Ennis, he addressed the buzz surrounding their similar fighting styles. Crawford explained that while fans expect an exciting, high-level chess match, he's confident that his own versatility will make the difference. He described himself as equally skilled and athletic from both stances, saying that his choice to switch depends entirely on the opponent in front of him. "When I face Boots," Crawford said, "I'll pick the stance that gives me the edge, the one that lets me control the rhythm and dictate how the fight plays out."
Equally as great in both stands. I'm very powerful in both stands. I hit just as hard with my left, probably even harder with my left than my right, you know, but I think it's the opponent.
50-50 fight?
I mean, I see it as a great fight.
It's a great fight.
I don't know if it'll be 50-50, 60-40, what it would be, but I see it as a great fight.
Moving forward, Eddie Hearn also shared his thoughts on the potential showdown, calling it a can't-miss matchup. He described it as a perfect clash between two elite fighters, with Jaron Boots, Ennis coming off an impressive victory, and Terence Crawford looking for the right opponent following the biggest win of his career. Hearn suggested that the fight could realistically happen at a weight class Crawford feels comfortable competing in, making negotiations smoother. He also praised both men for their explosive fighting styles, saying their contrasting yet dynamic approaches would give boxing fans an unforgettable night inside the ring.
I feel that Jaron Ennis against Terence Crawford is the fight. And that can be at 54, it can be at 60. You know, obviously we've got Lima to take care of first, but that for me is one of the great, you know, crossover fights, because Boots is the changing of the guard guy, and Crawford's the guy that's been there and done it all and just proved, you know, that he's still very much in his prime.
Boots Ennis is the real package. He's the full package. I've been saying this for a long time. It's no secret, and a lot of people see it, and they had their ups and downs about how they feel about him. But he's the full package. He can fight inside, outside. He can punch. He's got good hand speed. He's technically solid. His father does a good job. He's mentally right. He's got the amateur pedigree. He's the full package. But
additionally, Sean Zittel expressed his mixed feelings about the potential matchup. While he admitted he doesn't necessarily want the fight to go smoothly, he also acknowledged that now might be the perfect time for it to happen. Zittel explained that with both fighters coming off major wins, the excitement and anticipation surrounding this clash have reached a new level. He said watching these two finally square off would be a real treat for boxing fans, and added that in his view, Boots Ennis has a very real chance of defeating Terence Crawford when they eventually meet in the ring.
For Ennis's chances of ever landing that fight with Crawford nearing 40 and Ennis still having a lot of catching up to do to make that a worthy assignment for Crawford. And nobody's been begging for that fight for the last couple years more than me, but I'm also realistic.
Shout out to Boots. Boots the next legend to come up in this shit.
How does Crawford and Boots play out, Meek?
Crawford and Boots play out. I'm rocking with Boots, of course. I'm from Philly. Crawford, you already know you about to meet this Philly shit. It's all love, but you about to see what this Philly shit about. We real monsters. Let's get it.
On top of that, rapper Meek Mill threw his support behind his fellow Philly native, calling Jaron Boots Ennis the man who could finally take down Terence Crawford. While breaking down the matchup, Meek pointed out that many fans are underestimating Boots because of Crawford's dominant win over Canelo. But, he explained, there's a major difference between Ennis and Canelo. Canelo, now past his physical prime, struggled to keep up with Crawford's speed and precision, while Boots is younger, quicker, and laser-focused on making sure Crawford doesn't pull off the same kind of performance against him.
With Boots, so I want to see him fight Jaron Ennis, and hopefully, he don't retire before then, or he say he too washed up and old. Hopefully, he get my boy a shot. That's the only person I can see beat him, or that's who I think can beat him.
They play out the super fight Crawford versus Boots.
I went to the Crawford fight
I was there
in Vegas. I'm not gonna hold you. He really, really surprised me. I'm talking about in a good way, like it was next level, because everybody was talking about how homie was gonna be too big for him, too powerful, Canelo, how he was gonna be too overpower him, and it was none of that. Actually, he wasn't even that. He ain't even really that bigger than him.
He didn't break a sweat, right?
Yeah. That was light work. He took him all the way out of his fight. Absolutely. Very impressive.
And it's dope. I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him, man.
Now, you're a guy that moved up in weight, what, 2-3 times?
I went up, went down, up. I fought 4 or 5 different divisions, man.
So what are some of the challenges with moving up in weight?
Man, getting used to your opponent's size, bro. The homo, like, he was moving up, but Boots always been like a big dude, you know what I mean? Like, he's always been strong. That's why him making 147 was like, yo, that's crazy. He's gonna be a monster at 54, a monster at 160, and he's gonna fight at 168. He's gonna be a monster there too.
Afterward, is it that you just realized everything that you achieved, the moment just hit you then?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's just, the history, behind the sport is just everything that, I trained for my whole life. It all was, coming out that one night. That was all paying off.